It's time for your Talk Time Live exclusive.
You are now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge.
Folks, returning to the show is a man who has been on a warpath to give gamers and wrestling fans a retro game experience, I should say, that is like a legit alternative to our gaming community. His name is Mike Herman, and he is back to talk about the evolution of Retromania Wrestling and the latest DLC that has changed the game so much it is practically a sequel. So please welcome back Mike Herman to Talk Time Live exclusive. Mike, what's going on?
Hey Dax, how you doing? Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. I always love to. I got to give Pennsylvania pride here because you're Collegeville, right?
Yep.
So you're in Collegeville. I'm from Philly, and I rarely get the chance to interview people who have done such feats in this neck of the woods. So I'm always happy. I like almost like an Eagles level of pride to have somebody on the show after all these years. This is my 10th anniversary of the show, man. But I'm always grateful to have somebody that actually has done so and made some moves in this state. So always great to have you on. So before we get started, people don't understand. This is your third time here. The first time that we talked, the first time I had you on the show was in 2019, and that was the beta. We
haven't even launched at that point. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right. So I've been here since the ground, the grassroots ground of the development. And we met formally in 2019 before all the chaos happened.
Too many games. Yeah.
Too many. Yeah. No, not too many games. It was actually House of Hardcore.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah. I had a chance to, I still have never been to too many games yet.
Oh,
One of these days, I don't know, man. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con twice. I cover New York Comic-Con at least now being 5 years in a row. Why haven't I made it to Greater PA? I don't know. But I'm gonna make that mark. Probably maybe in 2026. We'll see how that goes. But I hear so many great things about it. It's incredible. But we got a chance to do that. We talked then, and then I think during the pandemic when the game released in 2021, we talked again.
Yep.
And that was the beginning process. And it's 2025, and I have you here talking about this game. And only because I'm playing this game, and I'm like, when I got the DLC finally, I was like, this is so not the game that I played in 2021. There's so much that is going on. But before we get all that, it's like from a mental standpoint, how are you? Because 2019 to 2025, it's not like years just passed. We went through so much. And what you were doing and what your team was doing, people don't understand how taxing it is. And you got to deal with the development, you got to deal with expectations, you got to deal with social media and their misconceptions, and that piles. How are you right now in this stage?
All good, man. It's I'll tell you, this DLC, we had one little hitch on a Switch release, but other than that, the amount of love we've been getting for this DLC makes it all worthwhile. As any artist does anything, you do that, you get a lot of self-fulfillment out of it, but you can't help when people, even if it's just one person. Yeah. But if one other person appreciates what you did, that means the world to you. That, it's not just me. I did make something kind of cool that a couple other people can enjoy. And we did that. And I'm very proud of that. So I think it's interesting because, it's the indie dev process is a tough one. Yeah. Now I'm in a little bit of a different situation because I'm not feeding my family off of this because it's more of a part-time thing, but just to go out there and find the time and the perseverance, really, like you said, we've been at this since 2019. Actually, before that, because we've been working already 2 years at that point. So
exactly, correct.
It's we're going on 8 years of Retromania in my life. So my wife may be sick of it, but I'm not.
I think deep down there's a certain amount of pride that she.
Oh, for sure.
I had to go through the same thing with my wife too. Yeah. Trust me on that. So before we talk about this very robust DLC, we gotta go back because there's so much that has happened in current events that chronicles your development of this game and then the DLC. So I mean, like Retromania Wrestling released in February 2021, and which was at the time which is a time where fans were just desperate to play a fun and solid wrestling game. You got people, if you're listening, you're watching, you got to understand we were void of a great wrestling game. The only things we were relying on 2K, and they weren't the best at the time of what they were doing. They remember the Switch in 2017 with 2K18 was
my God,
dreaded worst. It's not. It wasn't even. It wasn't the worst wrestling game. It was the worst game on that platform till the Switch 2. It was like, it was crazy. But along with that, during that time, especially during the Switch 1 time, we lacked any good wrestling games on that console. 2K games were suffering from performance issues in multiple, consoles, not just the Switch, but multiple. AEW Games was hyping AEW Fight Forever with the return of the Aki engine, and other indie companies were also announcing, the coming of their wrestling titles, which to this day we have still waiting for. Yet, Retrosoft Studios has not only released their title successfully, I might add, it also became an ongoing game experience, persevering through many trials and tribulations. So, my question to you, like, what is the biggest lesson that you learned through this entire experience in terms of development, marketing, and promotion, especially around social media at this point?
Whenever you estimate something, double it, maybe triple it if you're going to announce a date that you want to release on. Right? I mean, it is so hard. And you see games like, for example, we're a 2D wrestling game. Mm-hmm. We had a hard time hitting a release date. And it's not malicious. It's not us trying to dupe the public. It's just like, it's hard to understand what hurdles you're going to go up against. Now, you take that game and then you look at a GTA 6, you can kind of understand why stuff gets pushed back to the scope of something like that.
Yeah.
It is really hard, and especially when you're so far out, because games take, even my game, and granted, I had a lot of part-time help. Right. We weren't a full-blown studio, everybody working 40 hours a week on this. The contractors I hired had multiple things going on in their lives. They had multiple contracts going on. One, I didn't have the capital to try to do it all at once.
Another misconception people have.
Right. So I had to manage my cash flow and budget. So yeah, if I had a full-time studio with 10 employees, that we could have banged it out in probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. I have another job that I work at full time.
Yeah.
And this is a 100% passion project. So I had to, and I funded the whole thing myself. So I had to, I had to balance my cash flow coming in versus what's going out and everything else. So, estimating is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
To do. And especially me being a first time game developer, you don't know what you don't know, so, and there's a reason though. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. There weren't a lot of wrestling games at the Switch at the time. And there's a reason for that. They're hard to make.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to make a wrestling game. And that's why you may see 100 different platformers out by a bunch of other independent studios. You can do a 3D shooter fairly quickly now with Unity and Unreal, gets you going. But there still aren't a lot of wrestling games out.
It's because people don't realize how the level of complexity a wrestling game has. I mean, there's so many intricate aspects and parts to a wrestling game, especially one that requires sometimes maybe a creative aspect, a creative suite, if you will, or just move from move, frame from frame, animation from animation, stuff like that. It's very intricate because it's not Mario, where it's not Pac-Man, whereas there's so many simplistic control schemes to it. It's not even Street Fighter. Street Fighter has everybody using the same control scheme in a lot of ways. You do, but it also executes animations and stuff that are very intricate because no matter how many characters you have in there, each character is distinct with their own personality, and some of them have more moves than the other. And especially if you're replicating real life people,
right?
That's even more,
right?
So, but yeah, I'd say didn't do it on a Nintendo Switch.
It came with its own hurdles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will definitely say though, you are a definitely, I don't know if you want to call it a masterclass in a sense, but you're what you experience and what your team experience is a definite study into indie development, not like AAA development. There's a difference between AAA development and indie development. And especially because indie development is more creative, it's more free, creative free type of expression. If you put it to an art sense, you're not being held by shareholders, you're not being held by anybody else. This is your, like you said, this is your baby, this is your thing. And I think the people look out on the outside looking in is assuming that everybody in the industry is the same thing. No, indie development is a whole different thing. And even to you guys do it a different way than some other indie developers as well. So I mean, there's a lot of lessons I've learned by learning your path and seeing your path. No bigger than how to deal with the Nintendo Switch and how to deal with that situation, because they have the Joy-Cons, and that always makes a big difference compared to other, deals. And people don't understand, like, when no matter who you are, whether it's you guys or even other people, I say Sucker Punch or any of these other companies, CD Projekt Red, like if they do stuff on the Nintendo Switch, they got their own different rules, they got their own stipulations. You gotta be on point with what they want. And you can get on Steam if all you want. That's fine. You try to get on PlayStation, but you more or less than Nintendo, you got to be on point because your control scheme has to work and all that. And watching you guys go through that, I learned it's like, okay, this is a hurdle that I'd never thought of before. So, I mean, people need to understand, like, it's not as easy as said and done to port something in everywhere.
Yeah, it's difficult to do. And, each system, as you said, is a little different. The process is a little different. The certification of your game is different. And
it's like going into a customs, and you got to learn. You go into another country, you got to learn their custom.
Right. And just to get through all that and understanding, Nintendo does things a little bit different than Sony. Does a little things different than Microsoft, and trying to coordinate all of that with a relatively small team.
Yeah.
Now I say that, and I would say it took over 50 people have worked on Retromania at this point.
Yeah.
Not obviously we've never had 50 people full-time staff, but I've had a lot of help. And I would say I've done the least amount of work of everybody on the game. But it takes a lot of people to get this game done, and they just did a great job. So
absolutely. So you now have a new DLC update that profoundly changed the game on a variety of ways. What I'm about to list right now doesn't even probably cover what you guys have done with this game, but I'll just name a few. I mean, the new added modes that I found was like new visual presentation and for the menu and the ring entrances, which I love. New moves and animation, new rings, house show mode, which is absolutely freaking awesome. And challenging at part two. I'm not gonna lie, I had to start promoting most stuff after a while, but it's still fun to jump back in to see if I could get through the whole entire card. But tournament mode, I've been waiting and hoping that you guys would have added tournament mode. I love tournament modes no matter what it is, whether it's fighting games or wrestling games. You can build your own story with tournament modes, and that's the one thing I love about tournament modes. But the fact that you got that in house show mode really adds the replay value for me. The customized mode was pretty awesome too, providing color palettes and to alter the look of each wrestler. Thought that was dope. Blood effects, camera options during gameplay, new title belts. The NWA tag team titles. We are going to talk about some NWA when I get down the line of my questions too. And the Retromania Wrestling title belt, which I was like, about time. Right. And I get respect of the 10 pounds of gold, but like, that I like that belt. That belt deservedly needs to be in there. So new legends to the roster, including Magnum TA, Macho Man Randy Savage, the Rock and Roll Express, and Demolition. Like, this is hardcore. And then on top of that, Josh Chernoff and Ian Riccaboni comes back to add more commentary and ring announcing to the latest wrestling on the roster.
And Colt Cabana.
And Colt Cabana as well. So, I mean, this is incredible. What a credible amount of diligence and effort and assertiveness on all of you guys doing it. It worked. It was incredible. my question to you for this is like, was this always in the plan or from the beginning, or was this something that, an opportunity came and it was like, you want to jump on some concepts and ideas?
Yeah. So I would say, I always wanted a lot of stuff in the game, and I was a big, I didn't care about, it's called scope creep, where you have your set of features, and then I'm just like, well, I want to add this, but I want to add this, but and we just ran out of time the first time around.
Right.
And there's still, I wasn't done yet. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to make, because at the end of the game, I'll be selfish because I'm making the game I want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I wanted tournament mode. I wanted house show mode. We got a lot of feedback. Yeah, it's good. Like, it has some good qualities of WrestleFest, but we want the camera to zoom in more. So we added that in there.
I love the panning of the camera. Yeah. Like, it's the sprites. And it is so like huge. I'm like, I love this. Yeah. And then you can pan out if you want to and all this stuff. I really like that.
So it was, and then one of the things that kind of bothers me in the industry is people charging money for DLC and then not giving value for that DLC. Right. So I wanted to be the opposite. Yeah. I wanted to be like basically what you said. Why didn't you just release a sequel? Because that's how much stuff you added to this game. Right. I'm asking people to give me another $10, and I want to make sure that there's no question in their mind that they get their money's worth.
I don't know if I can talk to the person who disagrees with it. It's insane. There's no denying it.
So I think that was a big thing on my radar. Was I want to make sure, we don't, because keep in mind, the initial price of $30 indie games don't release, especially on Steam. You can do it on console, but on Steam gamers don't pay that much for games, and I wanted to make sure. So we've in addition to coming out with the DLC for $10, we dropped the base game price to $20. So still the whole package for a new player, net new, who just is discovering Retromania, is still coming in at $30. You're just getting a lot more. Unfortunately, sorry to the people who've supported us the whole time, but if you're just discovering us now, you are getting a lot more for your $30 than you did 4 years ago.
I mean, you got to look at the times and the situation. Again, we talked about 2021 is 2025. It's inevitable that a game is going to depreciate in value at the time, and then you got to give a little bit more. It's the natural order of the industry. Right. It's not the first game; is not going to be the last.
Right. So yeah, we just and it's like I'm definitely a physical game collector kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But with that said, digital has a lot of advantages where you can update patches. You can add new content to the same game. And especially with a licensed game, it's a little tricky because I don't have these wrestlers for game 2. I have them for game 1. So if I want to build the roster out of game 1, I got to do DLC to add to the original game, because those licenses I have forever, but just for Retromania. So as soon as I go, unless I relicense them, which some of them, though, aren't available anymore. You take Nick Aldis, for example. He works for WWE. I couldn't get him now if I wanted to. Jeff Cobb works for WWE now, right? Yeah. So there's certain guys that I just couldn't get even if I wanted to for a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understood. So what would you say was the biggest concern during the game's post-development process?
Time, just getting stuff that and we got to a point where not many games release in 1 year and then 4 years later release a paid DLC for that game, and I think that speaks that I think two things: that we have a little bit of staying power, or the other side of that is we're terrible at marketing. So our word of mouth just grows, but it's at a slower pace. But we've had, not huge numbers, but we've had consistent numbers. They're not huge by any means, but we've had consistent numbers where we keep getting people discovering our game for the first time. And I think getting like Demolition and Macho Man and the Rock and Roll Express and Magnum TA in this DLC, and I will say especially Macho Man, just because my wife knows who Macho Man is. You know what I mean? So
household name, just Slim Jim, and
just getting him on board is going to open, and it's shown, is opening us up to people who maybe we weren't on their radar before. But Macho Man has a way of, hey, I know Macho Man. What's this all about?
Plus, he was one of the WrestleFest originals for gamers, so.
Right. Well, Superstars, not WrestleFest.
Oh, so, yeah, but Superstars. You're right.
Yep.
Absolutely. Of course, you would know your history.
Yeah.
Were you
For sure?
Were you actually surprised? Because I mean, I talked about AEW Fight Forever because that was coming out right about the time when you guys come out. Were you surprised at the outcome or the disappointment outcome of that game?
Yeah, I think at its core, it's a good game. Like I really do. I just
thank you.
I don't think it's. I think when you come out though, and you say, we have the people from Aki working on it, or the former developers, and it's almost like an unfair bar to hit because you look at the age of the gamers that played the Aki engines in their heyday, right?
Especially the imports.
Yeah, and so you look at them, and we were younger then when we played those.
Right.
So we're looking back with a little bit of rose-colored glasses on those games at the time, and now the expectations are higher. It's new gen. You got to do better. The same isn't good enough, and. And, with that said, I'll say I think they probably did still underestimate what it took to – they did a great job for the base. If they would build on it,
you're right.
I think they have a good base to build on,
Here's the thing. As a person, and I believe you probably have done too, as a person who played Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, and they mentioned – I could have sworn I heard Kenny Omega at some point during the cross of the development during the showcases mentioned Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 and No Mercy because they both came out at the same time, but Virtual Pro Wrestling was the Japan equivalent of that, but it also provided so much more. I'm thinking like in this stage, it should be a no-brainer for them to give us what we got during the air, even if it was for No Mercy, because I don't even think that I think the disappointment came in the quantity of content, not the quality.
Right.
And the mini games is something we didn't ask for. And I would have replaced that for a cage match. I would have replaced that for a tournament. Well, they got tournament mode now, but I would have replaced that for so much more that they provided us with that game. And like you said, I enjoyed the game in its core. The actual gameplay and the control scheme and everything is spot on.
Right.
But the continuity, the presentation, it was just such a letdown. I'm like, here I thought like they were going to really make an impact, and here it is like they kind of Buster Douglas the situation, and Retromania Wrestling is like the better game. and
I'll take it.
And again, not to say that it was a bad game, but it was like it was. I've said it before when I reviewed it. It was like it's not a bad game in its core. It's a disappointing game because of what it could have been.
Right.
Like
the expectations for them were so high, and I do get a little bit where the expectations for me were low. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even myself, I was like, I hope I sell 10,000 copies.
Right? You had a puncher's chance, and you got that punch.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you were working, you're going up against like you could say Tony Khan is a conglomerate compared to you. What I mean? He had the funds. It's like, what is going on here? Why are you holding back? So I was very surprised, but nonetheless, I was like, gold star for Retrosoft Studios on this because y'all did your thing. Y'all superseded.
And I will. I mean, I'll hang around. You can look at the reviews, and I'll say we were one. I think Gaming Bible, who isn't a huge site, but ranked us in the top 8 of wrestling games all time. So, granted,
I would definitely say in terms of especially 2D games. You're probably you're competing with the past, but you're taking from the past. You're replicating the past perfectly, but you're also improving on the past. It's hard to argue that you as a 2D wrestling game is not at the top of the heap at this point.
I know Fire Pro's still.
What's funny? I don't really compare Fire Pro in the same vein that I compare your game or WrestleFest or Superstars. That is a whole nother thing.
Right.
That thing
that is true.
Fire Pro is it is a new stratosphere in that case. But what you guys have done in terms of retro gaming and stuff like that, where you replicate, because when they did their thing, I know they've been around since because I emulator wise, I still have some of those games and I've seen the evolution of it. But they turned themselves into something incredible, and what you guys were able to do with the amount of, or the lack thereof of what you had is quite amazing.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, I mean, I will, will Barry Horowitz myself and I'll pat myself on the back. But, I couldn't ask for, my team, and we made some bad hires, but for the most part, like, especially this team I had for the DLC really killed it and saw my vision and what I wanted to do and really executed it well. And I couldn't be prouder of the product that we've put out there now.
Absolutely. I commend all of them on this one. It's undeniable at this point. So, I remember going back to what we were talking about or what you wanted to be in the game and add to the game. And I remember you saying offline, if you will, that, off the record, like that you wanted to add some other modes as well. Is that still something in the plans, or are we expecting more in the future?
So basically the roadmap is once we get everything stable. So we've released 4 patches already for the game. Yeah. The first 2, there were a couple, I would call them major bugs, but we're past that. The last update really made everything solid. We already have, though, probably about 30 to 40 items we still want to clean up. On it. And some of the stuff I bet people wouldn't even have noticed. But we do have some hardcore fans that have been so helpful that notice everything. And I get an email, hey, this pixel's off 2 pixels, And I'll tell you, I appreciate it because they're not mean about it.
Right.
And they want what I want.
They want to enjoy the experience.
Right. They want the game to be the best it can be. So we're still cleaning that up. We hope in the next couple of weeks we get that all cleaned. Then our next thing is we're doing a limited run games physical release. Right into that. I'm working on that now. Now the unfortunate thing is, they've done releases before where that they wanted everything on disc. And I had this conversation with them. I'm like, well, for the points I mentioned earlier, I don't want to make a sequel. I want to keep adding to this just from the licensing standpoint alone.
Right.
So I can keep my roster intact and just add to it and not have to subtract from it.
Right.
So we're definitely planning on adding some more stuff to Retromania down the line. But the next big thing will be the limited runs game release. And then after that, there'll be a little bit of time goes by, but then we'll continue to add content to Retromania.
Awesome. One thing the fans have been asking for, or gamers have been asking for in reference to this game, is a training mode to master some of the moves like the Doomsday device, which, by the way, I finally figured it out and love it. And then some other cool moves in the game. What is your philosophy on training and tutorial modes?
This generation's soft.
I kind of felt that, because if I'm like, if it's 2025, you would have added it by now.
No, I hear. I mean, at a minimum, though, we can update our manual that's online, right? Yeah. I kind of, in my head, like in my day and age, there's kind of 2 ways of thinking about this. One, people post stuff on forums, on Reddit. The community has helped themselves figure stuff out.
Right.
On our Steam forums, we have how to do tag team moves on there. With that said, then there's the other side of that is I shouldn't have to go outside of your game to learn how to play your game, right?
Right.
But then then kind of a third facet to this is where's the exploration of the game and figuring stuff out, and that's kind of part of the fun was for me figuring that stuff out.
That's how it was for us.
So it's kind of like, and I have kids who've helped me through this.
Yeah.
And they'll just say, how do you do this? And I tell them, and they're okay figuring stuff out. So I think it's like you will get, I think it's probably 50-50 on both camps, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to please everybody, but I think at a minimum, we could put a better online manual out. We could put some more stuff on our webpage, which we're in the process of doing.
Yeah.
And especially when we went to the DLC, you mentioned it, doing the Doomsday device, we changed how tag team moves work in the DLC. And it actually affects the base game. So even if you didn't buy the DLC, we made a ton of improvements to the base game for free. So you don't have to buy the DLC to get a lot of these improvements. Right. But basically you have more control over what tag team moves you do now. But we did tweak a little bit of how you have to do them. So
now, I mean, one can argue like, it could be, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to execute it.
Right.
Like I remember when I first did my first fireball on Street Fighter, man. That was like, you're trust me when I tell you, I understand from a standpoint of I can't stand the simplistic style of fighting game controls, because they make it so easy to just hit one button to pull off something that it took me years to master.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I went through a lot of years trying to do the 360 moves of Zangief, the Raging Demon,
Right.
Dragon Punch. Okay,
Yep.
Took me years to master that, and I felt proud. So now you coming off with these simplistic moves and all this stuff. I'm like, what is going on here?
Right.
I'm not feeling this. So, but I get it. It's like you could show somebody, you could give them an idea, but they still got to learn the way.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think the other thing I kind of feel like it does help grow the community a little bit, where you have people talking to each other about the game and figuring stuff out together, and so I think there is a community aspect to it, but I'm sure
trying to keep that balance.
Yeah, it's tough to keep the balance. You're never going to please everybody, and we're doing the best we can. All right,
absolutely. So we're going to talk NWA right now, because you're obviously an NWA fan. So please talk to me about your love for the Magnum and Nikita feud, and how we got to relive this rivalry on Retromania Wrestling.
Yeah, so we got Nikita signed on
early on at the beginning, right?
Early on, and Magnum at the time was not available. He was under a WWE Legends deal when we first. This is going back 6 years.
That sounds weird.
Yeah, and they produced maybe one or two figures, and that was it. That's all they really did with him. Right. But when he came up, I go, all right, I got to get him for the DLC.
Yeah.
So I got, it was pretty easy to get a hold of. And he was really easy to talk to, and we were able to strike a deal real quick. Yeah. So we were able to sign him on, and it was just like, he was my first favorite wrestler growing up as a kid. So I started in 1985. He was, before the accident he got in, he was the next thing. Like he was going to be the next NWA champ.
Yeah,
he was going to be the face of the NWA, and unfortunately, he got in that car accident and kind of derailed his career. But yeah, he was my first favorite, and when I got him, I was so happy. It's hard talking to some guys that you don't want to sound like a complete mark on the phone when you're talking to them. I'm trying to be the businessman here, and I don't want to give them too much. But
doing what I've been doing for like 10 years, I understand that. Yeah. I've had opportunities to talk to people I can't even fathom the idea of me talking to, and I got to keep cordial and calm and cool each time.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah, and so what we really need to do is add a best of 7 option in the game.
I was so just about to say that, because that's one of my favorite. It was the first best of 7 I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the story that people need to go back and find it. I mean, you could go back in Peacock. I believe you can find it elsewhere. The original, I thought it was the original best of 7. At least it was my first. It was my first
as well. I don't remember there being another one.
Right. This is my first introduction to the best of 7 for that beautiful old school United States NWA title. Can I tell you how much I loved that title?
Yeah,
not the silver one, the one that Nikita ended up getting later on with the red, white, and blue and the Hawk and all.
Yep.
I used to make cardboard belts to replicate that.
That's awesome.
Hence where I discovered people realized that I was an artist, because people kept saying that looks just like the damn belt. Right. Love to this day, I still love that title. But that story was so well told, and then, like you said, the accident happened, and then they decided to let Nikita work with the superpowers, which I loved, in the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Tag Team Tournaments in '87 when they brought him out to the ring. It was all of that.
Yep.
Every bit of that. It was awesome. So I mean, just having him on here feels like it completes an entire type of thing for me. It's
without a doubt. Yeah.
It's just, you can't have Retro without Magnum, and then you have Nikita with it. It's like you got to bring it in. So, and with that, with the Road Warriors, too. I mean, you almost have you pretty much almost have the War Game, the '87 War Game squad.
Yeah, you only need a couple.
You just waited one more, maybe two, but one more person that's just belonging there. It's probably Dusty.
Yeah. Well, he's a hard man to get now.
He's a very hard man to get. Like,
yeah, he's under a WWE Legends deal, unfortunately.
More than anybody. I totally understand that. But with us being able to relive such rivalries like Magnum and Nikita and the Road Warriors versus Demolition, which is another, dream match situation that we finally got years later. Are there any chances of us getting the experience to have more rivalries with the roster, with new wrestlers added, say, a certain tag team that the Rock and Roll Express used to face off over the years? Or
I've been trying to get them. That certain tag team I've been trying to get for 5 years.
Let's keep it going.
So it's funny about that. So Jim Cornette, apparently I had like 3 people send me a message. Hey, Jim Cornette just talked about you on his podcast. This is This is a couple weeks ago. Not by name, but I'm the guy chasing him for the last 5 years for a video game license.
Right. I mean, does he have like the license for the Midnights as well?
Yeah.
Did not know that. That's very interesting. Buy him a new tennis racket. I don't know what's going to take.
I don't know. I sent him some Sprite Zero. I don't know. That wasn't enough, but
that's where I get my likeness for that soda. My wife was just talking about, like, she went to the supermarket, like, why is Sprite Zero always sold out? Because it's Sprite Zero, man. What are you talking about? But all right, let's talk about Macho Man's greatest throat crushing rival. How about, what can we do with that?
So there's I've talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some trademark issues ongoing, but I have a communication open with him. So it's a possibility at some point.
That will be everything.
I know.
That would be absolutely
relive WrestleMania 3.
Enough said. And if you're a true fan, you know exactly what the hell we're talking about. So just put it right there. So what are you most proud of the development of this game at this stage?
I just think, making a game that at this point with this last patch is relatively bug-free now at this point. We from launch to now, I'm proud of our pure perseverance when we launched the DLC and even the main game of just constantly listening to the people playing it and trying to improve it. And it's tough because, you're always going to get a bunch of different opinions, but kind of weeding through and finding what the most people would benefit from the changes that we make. And I think we've done a really good job of listening to the fans and trying to make the game as good as it can be. And I'm really proud of there's like a handful of people out there who play the game and I'm in communication with either on Discord, through email, who give a lot of great feedback. I'm so grateful for them because without them, we wouldn't have gotten to the point we're at now where, we're still, in 2025, you go search for wrestling games. We come to the top now. Now, granted, there aren't that many. So
surprisingly,
right. But we're rated highly everywhere you look. We don't get bad reviews now. So I'm just proud of the fact that we were able to keep improving the game over the last 5 years. And we're not done yet.
That's what I like to hear. So before we end up, I got 2 more questions, actually 3 more questions. But again, this is the 10-year anniversary of Talk Time Live, and it wouldn't have been without people like you coming on the show. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing so and, allowing me to learn what's going on in your world from your perspective and our listeners and our watchers and stuff like that. Thank you so much for that opportunity because trust me when I tell you, I cherish this as not only just a fan, but an artist and a designer myself who also, have to, grind out. It's always great to hear other people and their stories, what they venture through and the passion that they do to get it happening. So I really appreciate it on behalf of yourself and your team as well. Thank them.
Thank you. No, thank you.
So the one thing, it's probably one of my most, out of all the questions that I'm asking, this one is probably more nearest to me because the one thing that I always respected about you, Mike, is that your ability to be very transparent, not just transparent, very transparent about the process of the game with your target audience. I mean, even in 2025, you still are not afraid to let gamers know the good and the bad of what's happening behind the scenes of the development. I've interviewed many people and many indie developers and many developers and people in the industries in various industries, but no more than the gaming industry, where it's a rarity to see in the landscape of that industry as people from larger companies, decide to not want to answer questions to the public about things that are going on with the game that they're passionate about. They, the mistakes that were made, they sweep things under the rug. Okay. And whenever things, don't go right. But in fact, the only company I know that has gone out of their way to really be transparent is like CD Projekt Red when Cyberpunk 2077 had their big mix up in 2020, and they owned up to it and they went out of their way to redeem themselves. And I respected them wholeheartedly to this day because of that, because this takes a lot, especially when you have shareholders and all this stuff that you got to deal with. It takes a lot of guts for that CEO to go out there and say, like, we messed up, we're going to make it up, we're going to refund you back, we're going to want you to come back. And they did, and they came back hard. You guys have been in that same plane. Put you guys in the same plane of that, and saying, like, you yourself have been on the front of the firing squad of social media, and you constantly, I mean, it happens. Can you talk about why you chose to connect with your consumer base in that way?
Well, it's tough, because you put yourself out there, and anyone, if you create anything, or even, it doesn't even have that, like whether you're doing your job, you're putting yourself out there, whatever job it is, you're not necessarily creating something, but you're putting yourself out there. But when you do it on social media, now you're putting yourself out there. If you make a mistake, everybody sees it. And, now granted, like you said, I don't have shareholders, so I only have to answer really to myself on it. But with that said, it's also all fingers point here. Like I get credit for the good and I get blamed for the bad. You know what I mean? Right. So
but that's even more tough. Of a reason why it's the fact that you don't have shareholders and you're still choosing to do it that way. That to me is I feel like that's even more commendable.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I won't lie. Like it's hard reading, especially everybody gets the trolls, and it's hard reading stuff. And
bots. We don't know which is which.
Well, true. But it's tough reading that stuff about yourself. Like, somebody sends you a hate message, and I'm like, dude, I'm making a wrestling video game. How is this? And I know we all need escapes, but we also get the good on the side of getting emails say you don't understand, but I know you just made a wrestling game, but I was going through something, and I've got a couple of those emails, and it helped me pass the time and took my brain away from the shit I was going through just to play games. And that's a great thing about not just my game, but all video games, and you can say that about movies too, or music. That stuff, it allows you to, park your brain, try to forget about whatever problems are going on in your life, and just enjoy something for a few minutes without thinking about that. So when you get those kind of letters, it really is great receiving that kind of information from people. But I have found, and we try to do our best to be transparent. Some people, it's not enough. Some people, it's more than enough. They want to hear, why are you bothering me with the details like that? So. I did have one YouTuber. I'm not going to give him the benefit of dropping his name anywhere, but my kids would say, "Hey, did you see the new video by so and so?" And this guy made like 5 videos bashing me and how incompetent I was, and pretty personal attacks. If you don't like the game, fine. You don't like the game, but dude, I'm doing my best here.
If it's constructive criticism and critiquing, that's absolutely. One thing. But here's in reference to that, to piggyback off of that question too, like, do you sometimes, because I have conversations with this with my therapist as well at times, do you sometimes feel that it's not intentional? That a lot of times it could be just people displacing anger or projecting their negativity towards something just to get off their back, and they're not,
yeah, I'm sure
they're not doing things in a healthy manner.
Yeah, I think I've learned to look at it that way. But I'll tell you, my first kind of foray into social media exposure, or exposing myself to like more than my physical friends, family, and acquaintances and neighbors was the game. So And if nothing else, wrestling fans and video game fans are passionate about what they like. And I think a lot of tone is probably lost in text messaging and
context.
Yeah,
absolutely.
a lot of context is lost. And I think some may come off harsher than is intended.
I think also too is like we are a little bit more aware of the way social media works today as opposed to what it was in 2019, because that's where really we started seeing a little bit of the growth of toxicity.
Yeah.
And we start realizing that, okay, it may be something going on in that person's world. It may actually be, a bot that is, that is farming hate, that's hate farming, which is probably one of the most despicable things I've ever heard that exists. It's like you actually created something to create something all just so you could get more views and engagement on your post, on a post. Like, and I'm so glad watching Superman that James Gunn put that on blast with the monkeys producing hate farming on Superman. I love that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was hilarious, but it was also needed because it's not being talked about. People need to be aware that sometimes what we're talking to may not be we're talking to, or maybe just like some little kid hiding behind a deal. So it's like you got to try to. I had to learn to not take things too seriously,
for sure,
and just go with the flow. And constructive criticism, mature constructive criticism is one thing, but when you start to see people bashing out, first of all, you got to understand the dialogue to see if it is a kid talking, or it is an actual adult.
Right.
So when you get through that, it does help me get through a lot of what I've gotten through, but we still got a long way to go before we can master these algorithms and what.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So if you were to give an up and coming game developer any advice, what would be your most valuable advice for them?
Just pick something you're passionate about. And I would say, and it's hard for me to say this because I didn't quit my other job to go full blown, this is all I do and I'm going to rely on this for income. So take it with a grain of salt with what you're saying, but it's a lot easier to make something that you love, the genre you love, the content you love, than just doing a game. And that may sound obvious to people, but sometimes it's like, a first person shooter will make more money, so I'll make a first person shooter. And, I would say that WrestleFest is my favorite game of all time. And I never got sick of playing the ROM, the emulator. And I just wanted to make a game that I was just as passionate about. And lucky for me, I was able to do that. But the other thing is and outside of that though, just be persistent. And it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
So, for people who maybe are in a job they don't like and do want to do game dev full time, I would say start part-time nights and weekends and just work on it. Because if it's a passion for you, it won't feel like a job. And it's just, almost treat it like a hobby to start, where I love doing this, and get your feet wet. And I'll say there's a boatload of people out there in the community that are willing to help. That's the other thing with game development I've found is the community is awesome. The game developers are awesome. Other indie developers I've talked to have been awesome. I've gotten a lot of free advice from people. And if you ask people questions, especially in the game development community, I have found that they're more than willing to help answer those questions and help get you started. So I think, the community is great. And I would say just persistence. Be persistent.
It's basically what they call a Socrates Cafe in a lot of ways. Socrates Cafe is just when a bunch of people gather around to talk philosophy and, improve each other's mentality and mindset and, growth. I mean, like if you're in an art school full of artists and iron sharpens iron, you help each other grow in technique and art and form and craft and stuff like that. It's that type of atmosphere, and which we all need. Yeah. We all need that type of, socialization, both in online and in the real world, in a healthy manner.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll add to that is just don't be afraid to ask questions, even if you think you're going to sound like an idiot. Because I've asked questions where I've been like, I should have known the answer. I was an idiot. But then you learn and you don't make that mistake again. Yeah. And then you get further on in your career. If you don't ask those questions, there are some answers you probably should already know the answers to, So
I would
don't
argue,
be afraid to make yourself look stupid, because I've done that a million times when I'm with my developers, and I am a software engineer, but I never did a game development before.
It's a whole different
I
beast.
asked a ton of stupid questions, but now I understand things much better.
I would argue, no, it's not a stupid question in the sense that, like,
Right.
you have to learn eventually. And I think the misconception, both online, especially online, is that everybody's a Mensa member.
Right.
From the door. Like that, no, that not there's Mensa is a minority group of people, of geniuses,
Right.
Who at the same time still have to learn, and they still have to earn to get to that point. It's not like they automatically going to know it. They can pick up on things. I'm a kinesthetic learner myself. I can pick up on things that I see, but I still have to learn and master it at will. So you have to learn new things. You have to open up yourself, and you have to accept to be wrong. You have to allow yourself to be wrong, and and you have to be real with yourself that you're not going to know until you know. And when you know, you're going to know, but then you pass it on. You should never approach people like you shouldn't know, because 9 chances out of 10, not everybody knows.
Right.
And people online are just there to pretend they don't know, which is why we're in the academic decline that we are in today.
No, for sure. For sure.
Final question for you, Mike. Dare I ask, with everything that you experienced over the past 8 years actually, would it be possible to say that, like, it'd be worth you documenting your experience, maybe as a book, or even like a video that chronicles your role in development of this? Like, I don't think you should sell what you and the team been through short. I think what you guys been able to accomplish, the people that you were able to get to be a part of this, that's something that you just can't just throw away. Like, have you ever thought about documenting this, this entire experience?
I did think about doing, like, there are some indie developers out there that do like weekly vlogs and about their game development. And it's just like, I have too much going on. I feel that that in itself.
I mean, like, when it's all said and done, like,
I mean, I would definitely consider it, but I got a bunch of other projects already on the front. I don't know if I'm ever I don't know if I'll ever be done.
I don't know. I mean, but even still, I think, honestly, I mean, what you made this is your legacy.
Yep.
Without question. But this is not a normal legacy. Like, maybe I gotta toot your own horn again. You have been able to do something that not many people have been able to accomplish. And I know this as a person who've done what I've done for 10 years. The fact that you were able to say you want to create a wrestling game, but not only just create a wrestling game, you could have created a wrestling game that had fictitious characters based on other people that we know and love. No, you had the gall and the balls to actually go out there and get the actual people to say, and to trust you, and to say, like, you can do this and you can make this happen. You got people to do commentary. You got, by the way, thanks, because me and Josh Chernoff became like cool in the midst of all this. And it was like, you got all these people to believe in your vision, to believe in your passion to make this happen, and you made it happen. You got legends. I don't want to say me. I'm a bad example. Not everybody can say that they can walk up to a legendary wrestling figure, past, present, future, and say, I want you to be a part of this. No matter how much money you put in or whatever, like that, like, you still got to put in the proof of the passion and the product. And they were able to say, yes, I like what this is going. I'm going in with this. There are people who want to probably do what you're doing and probably don't know how to do it.
Yeah, you learn, right, by making mistakes. You kind of figure it out. Because at one point, I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't.
Right.
But I know a little bit more than I did then. But, you learn. Like, I'd never licensed a wrestler before. I had to figure out how to do it. And part of it is figuring out. I mean, I had to do the same thing for podcasting. I had to do the same thing for all of this. Yep. So I empathize and I get that. But every once in a while, it's like, I now speak at events, to people, for kids who are like coming up and just, if they ever wanted to do what I do or whatever like that, I speak at some of those events as of lately, but some form of way, like, what you've done is just absolutely phenomenal. I appreciate that for sure. I'm proud of it. I am proud of it.
I'm Pennsylvania proud. Like I said before. So thank you so much, Mike, for coming on the show again. Thank you so much for always coming on the show and even creating this awesome wrestling game from a wrestling fan myself. It's fantastic, you wrote, and I look forward to seeing what you got next for it.
I appreciate it, Dax. Thanks so much.
So before we go, I'm going to let you give a chance to plug this game, to plug where they can find you if they never got a chance to play this game and why they should play this game. The floor is yours.
All right. I'll say RetromaniaWrestling.com. We're on Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, all on all the eShops. Check out, look us up, look at gameplay on YouTube, look at reviews. I think you'll like what you see. If you're into wrestling games, even if you're not necessarily into retro stuff, if you're into wrestling games at all, give us a shot. I think you'll be more than impressed with what you see.
All right. Thank you again, Mike, and thank you your team as well. It's just an awesome thing. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this very special wrestling-related, retro-related game episode of Talk Time Live exclusive. On behalf of myself and Mike Herman, all I gotta say is learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. We are out of here. Take care.